when two cars pulled up and a group of individuals exited said vehicles, fired multiple times, striking two of the teenage students of Innovations High School. These individuals were taken to Northwestern Hospital where they succumbed to their injuries.
Like a firecracker, like something like a firecracker, like a 10-15 shot. Boom, 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 boom.
Fuck used to hang with them. They know what they did.
So, okay.
They know what they did.
So, okay, the Bloodhounds, yeah, y'all was cool.
Everybody that got a that was my homie. He stole the chain, bro. We tried like he took it. He stole my homie chain.
Welcome to New Viral Drama, where secrets don't just leak, they explode, and no scandal stays buried for long. After almost a year of dead silence, the man behind Lil Jeff's tragic end has finally broken his silence. And what he revealed? It's wild. This ain't just about street beef. This is about betrayal, setup, and a silent crowd that watched it all unfold. But get this, Trap City. Rob didn't just randomly stand on business. Somebody tipped him off. Yeah, you heard that right. Someone gave him a heads up, and that single warning changed everything about how that day played out. So the real question is, who backdoored Lil Jeff? Was it one of his own? Maybe someone from the Bloodhound gang? And why did his so-called crew just stand there while he caught multiple bullets without even busting back? That ain't loyalty. That's a death wish. Now let's talk about this jaw-dropping confession. Out of nowhere, Trap City Rob, the man accused of taking out Lil Jeff, finally aired out his side of the story. According to him, Lil Jeff backed him into a corner, left him with no other choice but to react, and react he did. If you don't know the backstory, here's the rundown. On June 8, 2024, Lil Jeff, Q50, and another homie were on a mission in the middle of Trap City. Surveillance footage later exposed them staking out in a black SUV, eyes locked on a rival gang member. But that mission flipped real fast, and trust, it only gets messier from here. The second Lil Jeff spotted his target, it was on. He jumped out the whip, heat in hand, and started firing while chasing the guy down through the Trap City streets. The target, easy to spot in loud yellow shorts, dipped fast and ran straight into the front porch of a nearby building. But not before catching one to the chest. Still, dude kept running like his life depended on it, cause it did. Now here's where it gets straight up insane.
I see that shit. I was like, damn, it's 6 out there, you know? They crazy, bro.
Lil Jeff was decked out in a black Nike hoodie and gray joggers, moving like he had something to prove. But what really hit different was his crew just standing by the car, not backing him up. They were too busy firing off rounds at the getaway car that dropped the target off. So why didn't they follow their boy? Why leave him to handle that heat solo? Then came the twist nobody saw coming. Right when Lil Jeff hit the front porch, chaos erupted. Bullets flew out from the alley like a war zone, and the whole block lit up with gunfire. Lil Jeff got caught in the middle, with no cover, no backup. His boys? Still by the car? Too far to help, too close to watch it all go down. And here's the sickest part. From another angle, you can hear the bullets still flying even after Jeff hit the ground. But his crew? Not even flinching. No ducking, no scrambling, just watching. Which makes you wonder, did they really just let him get stood over like that? This wasn't just a shootout. This felt like a setup. They barely let off any real shots toward the house. It was like they already knew Lil Jeff was done for. After seeing him get hit over and over again, they turned their backs, ran to the black SUV, and just waited.
Damn. Okay, so is there anything about that case you want to clear up and just touch about, bro? Because I see you got a whole different perspective.
I see the videos. I see that shit. I was like, damn, it's 6 out there, you know? They was crazy, bro.
Waited for the right moment to scoop up his body. Cold, right? This angle lines up with what cops later confirmed. They found a mess of shell casings right next to the door. That tells you all you need to know. Lil Jeff got stood over the second he stepped behind that big pillar by the porch. And that same pillar gave him cover from the front, but blocked his crew from doing anything. It was the perfect trap. Then comes the most savage twist. The shooter didn't stay posted. Nah. Right after finishing Jeff, he hopped off the porch and started spraying at the crew by the SUV. It was total chaos. You can even spot a dude in a red jumpsuit, limping hard. That's believed to be Q50. According to a Reddit thread, he likely caught a bullet in the foot during the chase back. Now here's where things get eerie. You can actually see them lowering their guns, like reality hit. Damn, our big homie just got left out there. It's like they froze, stuck in shock. But by the time they snapped out of it and returned fire, it was way too late. Lil Jeff had already been hit nearly 19 times in the chest. Toward the end of the video, you see him fall hard. And yet, it didn't stop there. His squad circled back, scooped up his lifeless body, and rushed him to the hospital. But by then, there was nothing left to save.
I'm conscious, bro. Like, I'm in my environment, but I understand the overall. You know what I'm saying?
One user online confirmed what many were already thinking. The drop-off went down just like the street said. The target got out of a black SUV, and if you pull up the scene on Google Maps, everything clicks into place. Right across from the black SUV sits a silver Jeep, and rumor is the camera from that house might be the one that caught it all. Zoom in a bit on the map, and boom! Clear view of where the black SUV posted up. That's probably the same ride that turned into the getaway vehicle. And while Trap City Rob stayed low-key ever since, barely making a sound after the incident, he finally came clean. And what he admitted? It changed everything. His confession didn't just confirm he was the shooter. It exposed an entirely new angle to what really went down that day. The surveillance footage didn't catch everything, but Rob's version filled in the blanks, and those blanks are wild. In a rare sit-down with Block 2 Block, Rob revealed he saw 6 people chasing after his homeboy. 6?
Does it make it worse when there's like videos and people reacting to it? And they were trying to say you slipped and fell, and you saying I wasn't even there, right?
I wasn't even there. Stop saying I was dumb, man.
That detail caught folks off guard because the viral footage floating around definitely didn't show that many. So how did Rob know there were 6? That's where he might have slipped. Still, he didn't brag, didn't flex. He told it straight. He did what he had to do to protect his block. No clout chasing, just survival. Turns out the streets weren't lying. An old video just resurfaced showing Trap City Rob straight posted on that same front porch where Lil Jeff got gunned down. Not panicked, not hiding. Just chillin'. Low-key watching everything like a hawk.
Black man is very underdeveloped and undereducated in America, bro.
Who? Not me?
No, just listen, bro. When it comes to emotional intelligence, reasoning and people getting shot over shoes and that's not being emotionally intelligent.
One fan even said, "For real, this dude like some troll in a cave. You don't know he's there till it's too late." That porch, that's his territory. And he held it down like a straight soldier. So when folks started calling Rob the Defensive Player of the Year after his Block 2 Block interview, it made total sense. During the sit-down, Rob kept it solid, explaining why he always stayed on that porch. Dude said he's hyper-aware of his surroundings at all times. And you can see it for yourself. In that same interview, Rob and his crew, OTF Black and Terror, kept scanning both sides, eyes sharp like they were born in survival mode. It's clear, Chicago ain't built for the weak. But then Rob took it deeper. He dropped a bomb that had everybody quiet. Said drill rap itself is a trap. A setup to get black men turning on each other.
On my dead grandmother's head, if I'm lying, I'm down. God could come pull me out this car right now. I never took a dollar from nothing. A nigga said, let me take a picture, this, that, and that. I look up, the nigga then ran down. We all the way at the top of the staircase first off.
He said too many young dudes have swallowed that bait, jumping out over the smallest thing without even thinking. That's why it keeps getting bloody out here. The hood took notice. The comments lit up. One said, "Rob is what you call a grown man." Another added, "These dudes move with maturity." Jeff was just a kid running up on some OGs. He reacted first and thought later. And that's the difference between surviving out here and getting left behind. Real OGs don't move reckless like Jeff did. They play by a different code. Strategy, not chaos. And that's why Trap City Rob moves different. During the Block 2 Block interview, the host even brought up a viral meme from Reddit that had people losing it. It showed Rob's face photoshopped over Malcolm X's iconic pic with the caption, "Protect the Trap." Some folks even joked that Rob should run for president and win. Rob laughed it off, saying, yeah, he saw it, but he ain't out here chasing fame. He knows better.
I don't chase that shit. I don't even like it, so I don't even know. Internet crazy, so.
He's smart enough to stay away from that spotlight because flexing about the hit would only keep spinning the cycle of revenge that's already tearing the city apart. And that cycle, it's deep. Every set wants to get back for the homies they lost, and it's turned into a never-ending hood war. A war that doesn't sleep. In an older interview that broke down Lil Jeff's street background, it was revealed that Jeff didn't even jump off the porch until he hit 18. That's considered late out here. But don't get it twisted. He wasn't new to the street game. Jeff had an older brother who introduced him to that cold reality. The violence, the codes, the survival mindset. But the street doesn't care about age or timing. Once you're in deep. And it plays for keeps. If you didn't know, Lil Jeff had an older brother, J Boogie, and that name holds weight. Because believe it or not, the deadly beef between Drill City and Trap City, the same war that claimed the lives of rising young street boys like Lil Jeff, actually traces back to gangsters like J Boogie. Here's where it gets crazy. J Boogie and Trap City Rob, they were from the same era, same age group, and back in the day, they were actually cool. According to Trap City Rob during his Block 2 Block interview on YouTube, there wasn't always bad blood. In fact, the two hoods, Bloodhounds and Trap City, used to ride together. But everything flipped when the Bloodhounds snatched a chain off one of Rob's people. That single move sparked a war that spiraled way out of control. Still, if you dig deeper, it wasn't just about a chain, especially not for Lil Jeff. His side of the beef had been brewing long before, and it started with the murder of someone close, his cousin, Z Money. Let me break it down.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm saying when I came outside for real, I was like 18. Type.
Okay.
I just turned like 18.
Back when Jeff was still coming up, J Boogie caught a charge and got locked up. While Boogie was behind bars, Z Money stepped up as Jeff's right hand, guiding him, putting him on, and moving in silence like a shadow boss. Z Money played big bro when Jeff needed one the most. He helped move behind the scenes while Jeff grabbed the spotlight. But then came the day that shook the entire Bloodhound camp. On March 16, 2023. Z Money was murdered. That loss? It shattered any last bit of peace between the hoods. And from that moment on, things were never the same again. According to reports, Z Money was sitting in his car on the 1300 block of East 79th Street, right by the 79th and Kimbark intersection in Avalon Park. Just a regular day outside a dry cleaner's parking lot, until everything flipped. A car pulled up, rolled slow through the block, and then shots rang out. Z Money didn't stand a chance. He was rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but the damage was done. That hospital was where Z Money took his final breath. His death hit the Bloodhounds hard, but for Lil Jeff, that pain ran deeper than anyone could see. Z Money wasn't just family. He was his protector, his mentor, the only one holding him down while J Boogie was locked away. After losing him, Lil Jeff and his right-hand man Q50 both inked Z Money's name onto their skin. A tribute that screamed loyalty and vengeance. At first, things started to quiet down, until Reddit lit up with new rumors. Whispers flew that Z Money had been backdoored, not by ops, but by some of his own old friends in Trap City. That theory sent waves through the streets, and Lil Jeff? He couldn't sit still. He wanted payback. He needed answers. And he already had someone in his sights. a trap city dude named Lil Pooh had been running his mouth, dissing Z Money like it was a game, walking around like it was a summer block party, smiling like he wasn't a marked man. But Jeff? He wasn't the type to move off emotion. He watched, he waited, and when the moment came, he was ready. Lil Jeff wasn't reckless. He was calculated. He gave his target space to get comfortable, to drop their guard, all while plotting the perfect moment to strike. And on April 9th, 2023, his moment came.
But the shit I'm doing now is I've been seeing my whole life, you know what I'm saying? I told you I got an older brother. So this shit ain't nothing new for real. It's the same shit I've been seeing.
That was the day the Bloodhounds made their decision. Lil Pooh wasn't making it to another summer. But Jeff didn't just slide up and start blasting. Nah, he played it smart, posted outside Lil Pooh's house like a watchdog in the dark. He waited, and when Lil Pooh came home to lay his head down, Jeff sent him to eternal rest. According to CPD, the shots rang out around 11:30 p.m. on the 1800 block of 223rd Street. When officers arrived, they found the victim, later identified as Pierre Boozer Jr. Unresponsive in the front yard, shot multiple times, no chance of survival. Nobody said a word to the cops. But in the streets, everybody already knew who was behind it. And Jeff? He didn't just move in silence, he left a mark. Not long after, he recorded an unreleased track aimed straight at Lil Pooh. One line hit heavy. Lil Pooh dissed Z. Now, Lil Pooh gone. You know that shit never take too long. Laying in that grass until he come home. Word is, Jeff kept the song tucked out of respect for one of Pooh's close people on the flip side. But when Lil Pooh's homie posted a memorial pic, Jeff clapped back immediately, reminding everybody, disrespect Z Money and you cross the line. Still, this wasn't a one-and-done move. Jeff wasn't finished yet. That was just the beginning of his retaliation path. After tasting blood, Lil Jeff wasn't done. Not even close. The street said he was out hunting again, and this time he moved like a ghost with a vendetta. One of the most talked about incidents? The fatal takedown of BKN's Lil Rob and Monty. A moment that shocked the city, caught on camera, and left a chilling mark in Chicago's loop. The tragedy unfolded outside Innovations High School, right in the heart of downtown, broad daylight. No fear, no hesitation. It was just after 12:30 p.m. Lil Rob and Monty had stepped out for a routine lunch break, walking down toward Washington Street and Wabash Avenue. A busy spot, full of people, but that didn't stop what was coming. Out of nowhere, two cars rolled up, one dark SUV pulling in under the train tracks, and then it was on. Surveillance caught the boys strolling casually toward the elevator structure, completely unaware. But off to the side, you can see the SUV slide into view. A masked shooter jumps out, storms toward them, and starts firing like he was on a mission. Pure chaos. Once the shots landed, the gunman dashed back to the SUV, peeled off down Wabash, and turned left on Madison, vanishing into city traffic like it never happened.
Feel if I get mad enough, will start happening. Y'all know this by now. I went for like a week, and poof. Gotta go. After that one, poof. I came back, poof.
Now, what's even wilder is that while the camera showed just one vehicle, CPD Deputy Chief John later confirmed it was two cars involved. Both pulled up, and both unleashed bullets on a group of teen boys. No one saw it coming, and even fewer were willing to talk. This wasn't random. It was a targeted move in broad daylight, no mask on the city's pulse. And nobody felt safe after that. Eyewitnesses say it all went down in seconds. Over 10 to 15 shots fired off like fireworks, and just like that, the shooters vanished into thin air. One local shopkeeper, Muhammad the First C, said the shots sounded like firecrackers. But those weren't no celebration sounds. That kind of rapid pop? It suggests at least one of those weapons had a switch, turning a handgun into a mini-machine, sounding more like a war zone than a street hit. It was a savage ambush, and the city felt the shock. But let's keep it real. Not everyone was grieving. Because shortly after the incident, the alleged mastermind behind the whole thing couldn't resist showing off. He jumped on IG Live, throwing shade and making cryptic comments. He didn't say names, but the energy was loud, hinting that he had just added 2 more to the body count. That mastermind? Allegedly, Lil Jeff. Fans of drill couldn't believe how cold and calculated the hit on Lil Rob and Monty was. But those who knew the history, they weren't surprised one bit. Word is, back in the day, Lil Rob and Monty had robbed Jeff for his jewelry, a move that already crossed the line. But they didn't stop there. They hit the internet hard, trolling, mocking the Bloodhounds, and flexing like the pieces they took were just cheap knockoffs. They laughed, they posted, they dissed. But in the streets? That kind of disrespect doesn't go unanswered. Not with someone like Lil Jeff watching and plotting. Lil Rob and Monty weren't just trolling, they were straight clowning. After the robbery, they hopped online and started flexing what they claimed was the bounty from Lil Jeff. They waved around 2 watches, showing them off like trophies. But here's where it gets funny and disrespectful. One of the watches, a fake iced out piece meant to mimic a real AP timepiece. It didn't take long for Reddit to catch the cap. A user zoomed in and spotted the GLD logo on the clasp. That's from an online shop known for gold-plated jewelry. Translation, fake drip. When that hit the net, Lil Jeff wasn't having it. He went live on IG, denying anybody ever took anything from him by force. According to him, the watches were swiped while he wasn't paying attention, not in a face-off. Still, the damage had been done, and the trolling just got worse.
Tell the op. We talking broad day. You taking cell phones. We got like 50K. Damn. That fake AP they got.
Soon after, a YouTuber called Word from the Trenches featured Monty and some BKN members in a vlog. And they went all in, flexing the stolen watches, laughing, bragging, and poking at Jeff's pride. Then came the moment that really got under Jeff's skin. Monty received a FaceTime call from Bloodhound Lil Jeff during the vlog. Monty didn't miss a beat. He asked, "Where the J at?" Meaning, where's that jewelry? Then held up the stolen piece to the camera. The entire vlog was a full-on disrespect campaign against Jeff and the Bloodhounds. But Jeff? He wasn't the type to bark back online. He made moves. Almost a year later, CPD made a breakthrough. The first suspect arrested? Tommy Coleman, a known Bloodhound affiliate, grabbed on the 5700 block of North Mason, charged with double murder. Earlier this year, CPD named a second suspect in the case, 20-year-old James Allison, known in the streets as JMO Bloodhound. With that arrest, whispers started flying. Lil Jeff might have been next on the list. And then, just like that, he was gone. When word hit that Trap City Rob allegedly took him out, one fan dropped a cold comment that summed it all up. He killed Lil Rob. Now he got by Big Rob. It was savage and sad. Because if one thing's clear, it's this. In the streets, the only exit plan is usually death. But here's the real twist. Why did Reddit, especially the drill watchers Oncology, pin Jeff's murder on Trap City Rob so fast? As soon as news of Lil Jeff's death surfaced, Reddit lit up with jokes, memes, and wild theories, all targeted at the hood believed to be behind the hit. And over Oncology, a subreddit dedicated to dissecting Chicago drill culture, users didn't waste a second. Most of them claimed the shooter was none other than Rob himself, aka iTrap Rob. Their reasoning? Rob had already been arrested multiple times at the same apartment complex where shots were fired that night. That address wasn't random. It tied him to the scene in more ways than one. While some folks were trying to name the shooter, others were breaking down the video, frame by frame, to ID the squad Lil Jeff pulled up with. Remember that guy in the red jumpsuit? Reddit swore it was Q50. The trolling was brutal, especially after it looked like he caught a bullet during the drill. But Q50 wasn't having it. He came forward and denied even being there. Still, the internet wasn't buying it. Q50 can deny it all he wants, but in the streets? The streets rarely lie. And Reddit wasn't letting up either. Their so-called drill detectives quickly ID'd the guy Lil Jeff was chasing that day, the one in the yellow shorts, as Trap City Glenn. But here's the kicker. That wasn't their first run-in. Word on the block was that Lil Jeff had already run down on Glenn before, caught him slipping at a store, and let off 15 rounds at him. Yet somehow, Glenn always managed to walk away from Jeff's ambushes untouched, almost like he had a shield on him. Then a throwback video resurfaced. Lil Jeff himself was seen talking about the store incident, basically confirming the street rumors. No hiding it anymore.
Yeah, I love I love that stuff. Too bad it's that. He get to see y'all. I'm glad though he can see y'all talk about him all day.
15 shots and Glenn still lived? One fan wrote, "Man, gotta be his grandma praying for him. That's divine protection right there." But Jeff wasn't the type to let things go. If the first attempt didn't work, he was spinning back. He went looking for Glenn again. But this time, he didn't walk away. This time, Jeff was the one who got caught slipping. Though Trap City Rob tried to stay quiet, denying any involvement, police weren't buying it. Official reports named him Robert Coleman as a prime suspect in Jeff's murder. They said a witness came forward and placed Rob at the scene the moment bullets started flying. That was all cops needed to bring him in. And once the paperwork dropped, the streets exploded with reactions. According to official documents, surveillance officers had been keeping tabs on Trap City Rob, and they spotted him coming and going from his apartment on South Rhodes Avenue with a black firearm in hand. That was a major problem, considering Rob is a convicted felon and known gun offender. Legally, he wasn't even allowed to be near a weapon, let alone carry one. When officers tried to bring him in, Rob didn't go quietly. The report says he pulled away, ignored verbal commands, and dropped into deadweight mode, stiffening his body to make it harder for the officer to cuff him. It wasn't just resistance, it was a full-on struggle. With Rob refusing to cooperate, the officer had no choice but to use force, deploying control techniques, escort holds, and finally, an emergency takedown to get him on the ground. And in the middle of that scuffle, a black loaded firearm slipped out from Rob's thigh, landing right on the pavement. No more guessing. The gun was real, and it was right there. Even then, Rob didn't give in. He kept fighting until a second officer jumped in to help. That's when they finally managed to get the cuffs on him, but not without damage. Because of Rob's size and how much he resisted, they had to use 2 sets of cuffs. The struggle left him with visible injuries on his right wrist. But once he was in the squad car, no delay. Rob, real name Coleman, was transported straight to 2nd District lockup. His refusal to comply, the weapon, the whole scene. It all added to the long list of charges he was already stacking. In a wild twist, the investigation into Trap City Rob's alleged role in Lil Jeff's murder couldn't hold up in court. Despite all the street whispers and online theories, there just wasn't enough to prove Rob was the actual trigger man. As a result, the murder charge got dropped. But because he was a convicted felon caught red-handed with a firearm, that gun charge stuck. And yeah, he's still facing time behind bars for that. But the second Rob got booked, Reddit exploded. The takes were flying in fast. One user said, "I ain't well versed in Illinois self-defense laws, but it's crazy that someone could even catch a murder charge in this situation." Another clapped back with, "Ain't no self-defense in overkill." Maybe a couple shots, but not 19. While some argued about whether it was justified or not, others zeroed in on the gun charge. One post read, "Free Rob for that armed habitual." Nah, he showed us that day why it's called a habit. And truthfully, that's how most folks saw it. To them, Trap City Rob stood on business, and that made him a legend in certain circles. It felt like Reddit solved the case before CPD even got around to filing paperwork. But here's the real question that's still hanging in the air. If Rob didn't pull the trigger, who did? One Reddit comment summed it up perfectly. Rob ain't pull it. The real shooter? We'll probably never know. They're laying low and keeping quiet. Let me know what you think in the comments. Was justice served, or is the real story still out there waiting to be uncovered? Smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe to New Viral Drama for more wild stories just like this one. And hey, don't forget to click that next video showing on your screen because the tea is far from over. See you there.